Hi everyone, welcome back after a prayer and lunch break. So now we have another important topic, element 10. The title is quite common, the fire, but how we gonna control the fire and what prevention or protection system we have to implement to avoid or minimize the chances of fire incident or kind of accidents. Even though we all notice fire incidents are still happening globally, especially in high hazardous industries, wherever the fire prevention system is weak, protection system, fighting system, mostly companies have, but probably they have missed some of the features of preventive, the prevention, fire prevention system actually. So that is why this element 10 is going to be more important. And before we move on, let's try to understand what are the key objectives, what we are going to learn and discuss. We're going to discuss about the principles of fire initiation or classification and spread. What are the basic principles of fire prevention? And we all know prevention is better than cure. So here the question should come in our mind, which system is more better, either fire protection or fire prevention? And firefighting system, of course, almost every company have a firefighting team and emergency response teams. But most important factor is how we gonna differentiate, what is the difference between fire protection, fire prevention, and firefighting? And how we gonna prevent fire not to be spread inside the building, more rapidly? And also we're going to discuss about appropriate fire alarm system and firefighting arrangements for a simple workplace, and the factors which should be considered when implementing a successful fire evacuation of a workplace. So these are a few of the objectives. Now, before we discuss anything further about NEBOSH theory, why can't we have a small kind of a competition and see the level of our existing knowledge, and I'm expecting your active participation, inshallah, for this competition. So let me just open that presentation. It's the same one. I will share one picture, then question, and with multiple options. And 3 rounds are there, and each round have 5 questions. And up to $1 million questions are there. Like question number 15 means $1 million question is there. So let's see how you respond to it. And as per my understanding, your knowledge is brilliant, mashallah. And I hope there wouldn't be any mistake. You will give the right answer, mashallah. Okay, so are you ready? Shall I share the first question, or shall we wait for the one participant, which we are missing, I don't know. We have Mr. AB, we have Mr. Abdul Aziz, Mr. Hamad, Mr. Al-Ghamdi, and Mr. Yusuf. And one of our friend is a little bit late, might be, but still, it's up to you. If you want, we can wait. Otherwise, we can go ahead to start up, with our question number 1, $100 question. Please, can you share your opinion? Shall we move on, or we should wait? Oh, Mr. Abdul Aziz Al-Harbi is there. Okay. So, guys, look at the picture first. Know your fire extinguisher color code. That means the water, dry powder, foam, carbon dioxide, and wet chemical. Now the question is, all extinguishers are good for all fires. True or false? $100, simple question, but let's see how you respond to it. Mr. Al-Ghamdi and Mr. Yusuf both mentioned false. Okay, so it's false. because as per the class of fire, different fire extinguishers we have to use, the appropriate one. $200 question is there. Look at the picture first. The question is, fire extinguishers should be serviced at least every 3 years, located as required by local regulations or by fire hazard identification, used to hold doors open, or checked frequently for good operation while weighing the extinguisher. What is your answer? Okay, so you'll go with B. And what about the opinion of other participants, Because Mr. Yusuf and Mr. Muhammad Al-Ghamdi, you mentioned B. What about the rest of the participants? Please share your opinion. By the way, they already selected the right answer. B is the right answer, mashallah. Because all the fire extinguishers must be located as required by local regulations. So first of all, what is more important is the Saudi Arabian local regulations. And then we're gonna talk about something from global standards, right? Excellent, mashallah. $300 question is there. Look at the picture, and the question is, fire extinguishers should be checked visually monthly by checking. What are we gonna check? The extinguishers are located and stored correctly and installed according to the local law. Pressure gauge where fitted needle is in the green zone. No damage, leak, rust, and the pin is in place. All of the above. So what is your answer? $300 question number 3. I'm expecting the same answer, the D, mashallah, and you're right. Brilliant. Okay, $500 question is there. Look at the picture first. The question is, fire hoses should be checked for operation regularly, kept neatly rolled up ready for a fire, used for hosing down the factory floor, or both A and B. Okay, so yes, D is the right answer, mashallah. Brilliant. Excellent, mashallah. The last question of round number 1, $1,000 question number 5. Look at the picture. The question is, fire alarms are, option A is checked for operation regularly, indicated by signage and color, installed in accordance with local regulations, and must be in high risk areas, all of the above. $1,000 question of round number 1. Yes. Fire alarms are checked for operation regularly, indicated by signage and color, installed in accordance with local regulations, and must be in high risk areas, all of the above. What is your answer for fire alarms? And that is a learning objective of element 9 of NEBOSH IGC, the fire alarms, the objective I'm talking about, the learning objective. Yes, please. Fire alarms are checked for operation regularly, indicator by signage and color, installed in accordance with the local regulations, and must be in high-risk areas, all of the above. Okay, so you'll go with D. Correct, mashallah. Excellent. Great, guys. Now we are moving for round 2, and I'm expecting the same, because I told you, you have sufficient knowledge, mashallah. Now, look at the picture first. Basic emergency action planning should be in place. What should this not cover? So that means one of the option is incorrect. The rest of the 3 would be okay. So basic emergency action planning should be in place. What should this not cover? Option A is emergency shutdown procedures, shift roster, coverage for illness, primary, secondary exit routes, assembly areas. What should this not cover? Okay, so Mr. Yusuf, you'll go with B. What about the others, Share your opinion, please. Okay, so you'll also go with B. Correct, mashallah. Excellent. So look at the picture now. Heat, fuel, and oxygen, and then chemical reaction, and we'll have fire. So question number 7, $4,000 question. The question is, fire prevention processes do not include burning of rubbish, good housekeeping, storage and handling of combustible materials, hot work permits like welding, brazing, cutting, abrasive blasting, or okay, so you're gonna go with A. Correct, Marshall. Excellent. Question number 8, look at the picture first. Emergency evacuation plan. How often should fire evacuation practices be carried out for each shift to cover all employees? How often should fire evacuation practices be carried out for each shift to cover all employees? Every month? Once a year? Twice a year? Or once a year as required by the local regulations? Question number 8, $8,000 question is there. A little bit tricky question, but let's see how you're gonna respond to it. How often should fire evacuation practices be carried out for each shift to cover all employees? Yes, guys. What's your answer? Mr. Yusuf, you're gonna go with A. And Mr. Muhammad Al Ghamdi, what's your answer? And what about A, B, and Mr. Abdul Aziz? So every month. Now, basically this every month means this is your best practice, or you thought it should be done on a monthly basis, or some companies can think it should be done even on a weekly basis, or maybe on a quarterly basis, or biannual. But what the law says, once a year as required by the local regulations. So the right answer would be D actually, because which is more logical, and once a year or as so that means mostly the safety standards are giving us the minimum safety requirements. At least, and that is the humble request of Saudi Aramco to all the contractors, especially to meet at least the minimum requirements. Even Royal Commission and Saudi Electricity and even Sabiq and Sadar and all, you are giving minimum safety standards and requesting to everyone not to violate, right? So the minimum standard is once in a year. So D is the right answer. But every month means is much better practice, because law says once in a year minimum. But you have every month. This is excellent practice because practice makes a man perfect, right? Now, number 9 question, $16,000. The question is, on the job specific health and safety training is required for all workers within 3 months of starting a new job, prior to starting a new job, except temporary and migrant workers, or none of the above. $16,000 question is there. So, Mr. Yusuf, you'll go with B. Okay, so Mr. Muhammad Al Ghamdi, you'll go with B. Okay, so B is the right answer, mashallah. B is the right answer. Correct, mashallah. So prior to starting the job. Now, look at the picture first. Oh, just 1 minute, because I don't want to copy paste anything. It should be genuine competition. So round 1 was finished. Emergency training is going on. Okay, just a little bit of some time. Okay, so we are going to discuss question number 10, I believe. Yes, question number 10 we'll discuss. Okay, look at the picture first, and the question is, if you see fire or smoke, what should you do? If you see fire or smoke, what should you do? Option A is panic and run out of the building as fast as you can. Option B is remain calm, alert warden personally, call fire services, leave the building, wait to the front, at the front for the fire truck. Remain calm, rescue anyone if it is safe to do so. Raise the alarm, close doors and windows, extinguish the fire with extinguisher or hoses. And option D is remain calm and follow your business evacuation plan, assemble in the designated assembly area. What is your right option here? Question number 10, $32,000 question. So AB, your answer is D, and Mr. Yusuf, you also gonna go with D. Any other opinion, please? Okay, guys, D is more logical and standardized also, because remain calm and follow your business evacuation plan, assemble in the designated assembly area. Basically, this question is for all the general workers, not only for the firefighters, by the way. Excellent, mashallah. The last round, question number 11, $64,000 question is there. The first step to preventing a fire is a fire risk assessment. Now the question is, fire risk assessment should be carried out as part of your emergency planning. However, step one is identifying the fire hazard, which are sources of ignition. Option A, naked flames, cigarettes, matches, and others. Option B, friction, drive belts, worn bearings, or sparks, static electricity, etc. And C is hot surfaces like heaters, engines, boilers, machinery. And D is all of the above. We are talking about sources of ignition. $64,000 question. Let me know your answer. $64,000 question. Okay, maybe you'll go with D, and Mr. Yusuf, you too with D. So D is the right answer, mashallah. Brilliant. Now the next question, look at the picture first. Fire risk assessment. Step one is identifying the fire hazard, which are sources of fuel. So previous question was relevant to ignition, and now we are talking about the sources of fuel. So anything that burns is option A. Option B is liquid, solvents, petrol, or other solids. Could be textile, wood, and paper, and some other examples, and all of the above. What is your answer? $125,000 question is there. And you'll go with D, mashallah. Okay. All of the above. True. Excellent. Now, $250,000 question number 13. It will be a little bit tricky question, but let's see how you respond to it. Fire risk assessment. Step 2 is identifying the people at risk, and step 3, evaluate the risks, which are correct. Option A is evaluating the risk by reduce the possibility of ignition, minimize the potential fuel load in the premises, assist people to escape. Option B is people at risk are based on the spread of fire, number of people, how warnings are given, how escape can happen, both A and B. Or identifying people is carried out by fire wardens. Like we have fire wardens, we have fire watchers, we have firefighters. So fire wardens, they will evaluate if they can extinguish the fire or call the fire service. So what is your answer? $250,000 question number 13. Question number 13. $250,000 question. So Mr. AB, you'll go with answer C. Okay, that means option C. Any other opinion, please? Mr. Yusuf, you'll also go with C. Okay. Okay, guys, excellent, mashallah. So C is the right answer. Brilliant. Okay, guys. $0.5 million question is there. Question number 40. Look at the picture first. The question is, use of fire or flame is called hot work. In a factory, this would be from any work carried out in the workplace when the room temperature is over 38 degrees. Welding, cutting, or brazing, or using open flame, the source of heat that could ignite material in an area. Both A and B, or any electrical power leads that are damaged and may cause electrocution. So what is your answer? Use of fire or flame is called hot work. Okay, so Mr. Yusuf, you'll go with B, and Mr. AB, you will also go with B for best, right? Okay, any other opinion, or I lock the answer? The B is the right one, Marshall. Excellent. So the last question, $1 million question number 15. Look at the picture first. The question is, what is required for hot work permits? What is required for hot work permits? Could be like welding, brazing, grinding. Option A is anyone can issue a hot work permit, including the person who is carrying out the hot work. Hot work can proceed as long as the area is inspected 60-90 minutes after completion of the hot work. Issued by authorized person, assessment of the area, including removal of flammable material, available firefighting equipment, watches to monitor and inspection, post-work, all of the above. What is your answer? $1 million question. Okay, so Mr. AB, you'll go with option C, and Mr. Yusuf also with C. And you are right, mashallah. C is the right answer. Brilliant. So, mashallah, your knowledge for fire system is quite sufficient, but still, let's understand how NEBOSH is guiding us, Let me just open that presentation. So, 10.1 is all about fire initiations or classification and separate, how fire initiate basically. And there are principles of fire. It's required fuel, oxygen and heat or ignition source. And fuel means any combustible material or even substance consumed during the combustion process, or oxygen means from the air, which is 21% oxygen, or oxygen rich substances, oxidizing agents, or heat or ignition could be energy to start the combustion process. And once all meeting together because of this triangle, of course fire will be there. And I hope, mashallah, as per your basic knowledge is excellent. You guys are amazing, mashallah. Now, principles of fire. Fire is rapid chemical process in which oxygen combines with another substance. That means fuel in presence of a source of heat. So all have to meet together. Then there would be a reaction, and that reaction we call is called like combustion. And during this reaction, heat, flames, and smokes are produced. Now, what is the classification of fire? This is as per the EU system. Like class A, class B, class C, D, and F. A, B, what about the exam? Can you please talk about the exam later on? I'm trying to save at least one day only for exam preparation, like for IG1, how to conduct and go for this exam, and for IG2, how to complete the risk assessment project. Or if you want me to share something today, it's up to you. I'll be okay with that. I mean, because I'm trying to save one day minimum only for this particular, the scenario based, how to attempt IG1. Even though I have shared one scenario with some questions, and we will discuss that one also. And on the other side, I'll share one project as per NEBOSH. And for this one, I requested to all of you, please try to collect your risk assessment, try to collect your risk assessment, internal risk assessment, and that register, risk assessment register, will be helping, to complete IG2 project, because you have to conduct risk assessment of your company processes, but in line with NEBOSH requirements. So that is why I'm trying to save one day only for exam preparation, inshallah. And probably, maybe, I will request to our institute, maybe, before the exam, like 3-4 days before, maybe we can have one more session only for exam preparation for 1 or 2 hours. It all depends if you guys will be agreed with us. So we will try to go for that session also, just for exam preparation. Okay. Because the purpose is, if you guys are attending 10 days training, so you must achieve maximum marks, as your target must be 100%, but above 95 or above 90, I'll be much happier. But I'll be supporting for sure, because you have exam on 1st December, inshallah. Okay, so classification of fire is like A, B, C, D, F. We can't fight with fire until we understand the classes, and we can't decide which extinguisher we have to use, if we don't understand the class of fire. That is why this class A, we have to remember this fire involved mainly organic solids like wood, paper, plastic. And class B means flammable liquids, could be petrol, paint, oil, etc. Same way, fire involving gases such as butane or propane, that's all class C. And class D is fire involving certain metals, could be sodium, magnesium, or aluminum even. And class F is involving like commercial deep fat oil fryers. This is as per EU system, and this is no formal class E like electrical fires used for electrical equipment. Now, principles of heat transmission and fire spread. There is a direct burning or convection, we call it. So direct burning, convection, conduction, and radiation. So CCR, at least you need to remember CCR, because direct burning, of course, is quite straightforward. But 3 other methods like CCR, that means convection, conduction, and radiation. Convection means inside and outside, conduction and radiation we're going to discuss later on for sure. See in the picture, you will have clear understanding what is convection and how radiations are moving around, and how conduction, via metals, and how radiation. So that means these 3 ways the fire is spreading. It's not like only the flames will be moving around everywhere. The heat is spreading up. The smoke is taking heat upward, even crossing to the metal doors through conduction process, and fire started to the other areas also. That is why within minutes, it's all over. Let me share one incident of today. Before our class start, I just noticed one incident. Even though no fatality was there, but it was kind of a prayer room. Nobody was available into that prayer room, and suddenly fire broke out because of short circuit or any unknown reasons. I don't know, because I was right at the spot. Once the fire broke out, we're just moving around from that road actually. Then I stopped, and the reason for stopping is, might be I could have a chance to help, or maybe I can learn something, how practically the government officials, the civil defense, and how they react to that incident. Even though they called and immediately they came like within 5-10 minutes, but before they come, everything was burned out. And unfortunately, they don't have any sort of fire extinguisher or even water available or any medium, so they can try to remove this fire or fight with this fire. Now, once the fire truck came and they started, even it's all burned, but still they started water and the lines and through water just to remove the heat. And later on, the terrible part was, some of the guys, they were unable to wear scuba. Your real leadership or kind of your practical skills will be exposed in real emergency actually. Because probably in practice sessions, during training sessions, might be you'll be excellent all the way around. You can wear scuba, because no tension, no emergency is there. But once you have genuine emergency, then your nerves will be exposed, how bold you are, how active mind you have. how you're going to control your nerves. Are you going to be panicked, or how are you going to control your emotions actually within that situation? And I personally noticed one terrible element, that they were unable to wear this cover. And even one of the guy I noticed, it's just like few belts are there which you just need to tighten up. But unfortunately, I just shocked how come those guys can be sent to the site, for fighting with fire. Then the person who was opening the water have no idea how much he has to, because first you need to evaluate the situation or the condition, because your safety must be your top priority. Now, along with that prayer room, there was a drainage system. Drainage system, and it could be like 2 feet, 2.5 feet. And the moment they move, and it was covered with like concrete. And the moment they move back the fire truck, near to that wall or near to that prayer room, the tires gone down because that concrete broken up because of poor material or because of poor lifting capacity, not designed for fire truck, of course. And now they have another problem. That means I felt them like they are the second victim. Now it was hard for them to bring out, their vehicle from that stucky point, from the drainage system. And later on, they stopped one truck on the ground, and they used some, plastic ropes, and it was failed because they cracked out. And then they started breaking, with hammers and making some space for the tires. Then a lot of people they used just to push from the backside, and somehow they pushed up, up forward like their fire truck, and resolved their issue. But what I mean is, I didn't see their good practices, like, because every process have three domains, like we discussed, like before, during, and after. Like before starting that emergency response, what was their plan? What steps they have to follow? They have no idea. Then during their operation, they have to evaluate either how much water required, and should the water be there, or it's already burned out and it's all ashes, so no need of wasting the water even. And then on the other side, the response from the people, like the guys who are unable to wear the scuba, it was not needed, by the way. That was another point, because the area is already burned out, nothing is left inside. So evaluate the situation, and why you are wearing scuba, you don't need, because no one is inside. I mean, you just visual inspection, you can have a look in seconds, and later on the leader is telling, oh, we don't need scuba, put them off, don't wear, and this, because he was noticing that I'm scaring them. I'm just looking at them, and they just focus, this gentleman is watching us, and even the leader communicated with me, this is sometimes happens whenever there is an emergency, people behave like this, so it's quite normal. So I asked him, it shouldn't be normal, by the way, but still they must be well trained, because it's kind of imagine if few people are still burning inside, how are they gonna give them response immediately, while they are unable to wear cover. So anyhow, this is the real challenge. Whenever there is a panic situation or kind of emergency, genuine emergency, then your leadership will be exposed. Either your firefighters, your first aiders, your emergency responders. That is why we have several drills, to make them more protected. That is why sometimes I suggest, don't announce your fire drills. Just have some unannounced fire drills and see how people react, rather than giving them training whenever there is an alarm, then they have to come out. Have some drills without alarms, Same way, emergency evacuation drills, firefighting drills, and several. Now, suggest some common causes of fire in the workplace. I'm opening this question into chat box. So, what are the common causes? Fires, common causes, Can you just highlight? Common causes of fire in the workplace we're talking about. Fire's common causes. Please, whatever is coming in your mind, or in other words, the real root causes of fire incidents at the workplace. I mean, we are sleeping at home and fire broke out and it's all burned, at our workplace. What happened? One of the incident, that person just fell down his key. He was a maintenance technician, and the pipe was having pyrophoric iron sulfide layer. That means the combustible layer, kind of a combustible dust even. And just this key fell down because it was in the front pocket. And the moment that key directly fall on that pipe, it created small ignition and it's all over because the area was already having some extremely flammable fumes, and it was a refinery. Yes, Mr. ABB, this lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge. Okay. Like I shared one incident with you when we were discussing about confined spaces, that the guys painted the confined space for 10 hours and then later on the second shift guy came and they started smoking. They have no idea that how that environment is totally flammable. And yes, I totally agree. If you don't know what is the value of gas testing or what are the rules for, confined space entry or the hot work rules, inside the confined space, or not following safety rules and regulations, especially relevant to fire safety. And sometimes having cell phones inside, totally agree, Mr. AB, because everyone is different. So that means carelessness is another terrible phenomena, and mostly leadership they are facing, and they believe they don't have any solution, for you never know who will be careless in which moment. Like if you have a 12-hour shift, that means 43,400 seconds. One brain is working at your side. So 43,400 seconds means you never know in which second which brain is going to be careless, and not following rules or breaking some or getting some shortcuts. Yes. And shortcut means, you just want to keep your boss happy. It's human nature to do things as quick as possible. You take shortcuts because you want to save time, you want to save some money, you want to show your heroism to your customers. You have some penalty clauses agreed with your customer and deadlines or target dates hard to meet up, and you started taking shortcut and ignoring what? The safety rules. And Mr. AB, the problem with the shortcut is, you can't be lucky every time. It's really hard to be lucky every time. But once your employees are addicted, let me repeat, once your guys are addicted with shortcuts, then it would be part of your culture. That means poor safety culture. And changing the culture means changing the mindset. It requires a lot of efforts and time, maybe some 3 years, 5 years. It's not easy because every mind is different. And especially as an auditor, as a safety auditor, I have evaluated especially the terrible conditions at residential compounds, because 6 guys are living in one room. And take an example of only extension board. It's already overloaded. Everybody have laptop, mobile, and several other things. Even, and extension board is only one or maybe 2, but still overloaded. And sometimes they don't know when to turn off. They're just putting charging on everything, and then later on slept. And early morning, fire incident is there. So a lot of other issues also. So yes, I totally agree, not following the rules and carelessness, shortcut, and several other reasons. Now these are the key causes like electrical equipments, deliberate ignitions or hot work smoking, cooking appliances, heat appliances, unsafe use, and storage of flammable liquids and gases like compressed gas cylinders is kind of a tickling bomb, at our side. Mechanical heat and chemical reactions as well. Consequences, yes, people could be killed and injured, damage to buildings and contents, including smoke damage, environmental damage like water runoff. So that was all about 10.1 exercise. We discussed, what three things are needed for fire and what are the methods of spread and common causes of. So all three questions we covered it up. Now, how are we going to prevent fire and fire spread? So here we have to understand some of the control measures to minimize the risk of fire. In a workplace, like control, first of all, combustible and flammable materials, especially the solids, liquids, and gases in any shape. First of all, have strong effective control measures related to your flammable materials, and especially the terrible phenomena is to tackle the gases, the invisible enemies, like solid and liquid, still you can see them with your eyes and it's more easier to manage. But the gases, okay, if you have any cylinders like compressed gas cylinders are there, still you have some rules to follow. But if they are invisible enemies like H2S, hydrogen sulfide gas, so some special arrangements you need to ensure, to avoid any kind of incident, God forbid. No, control ignition sources like systems of work, smoking, arson, or use of electrical equipment in flammable atmosphere, hazardous area classification. And one of the confined space incident, the fire incident broke out, and we know it's hard to get second chance. And what was the issue? Again, the person just completed, kind of painting, spray painting, and later on have some electrical connections because that scientists have no understanding or kind of awareness or knowledge how things can go wrong. I mean, already the environment is flammable and you are plugging the electrical equipments, and no gas testing, no PPs sometime because nobody is watching you. So systems of work must be there, especially for hot processes, machinery, and electrical equipment. Good housekeeping means general tidiness, waste control, and disposal. That means proper shop floor management. We can use the 5S Japanese housekeeping technique for this one. Now, control of combustible and flammable materials, we can eliminate, use altogether, substitute for low risk. Like if you are using solvent-based paint, you can change with water-based. So always we as a safety leader have to be like a deep researcher, and we will find the alternative. And there is always a lot of research is going on, so we just need to keep updated through regulatory bodies and see if something is invented and available in the market as an alternative, as a substitute, instead of high risk liquids, why can't we substitute with low risk? Like if solvent based paint is extremely flammable, why can't we use water based? Same way, we can minimize some quantities also, like stock control, housekeeping, waste management. More stock means more fuel. And in case of fire, more terrible consequences, the safe use and storage in protected and dedicated buildings as well. Now, the combustible and flammable materials, look at the pictures, must be stored outside. That means away from your operational or production areas. Storage area should be fenced with secure lockable gate. Warning signs must be displayed. You are designing a layout and quarantine this area and making sure the system is talking to everyone rather than you are telling, oh, don't go to this area, this is restricted area, this is prohibited area, better to put some warning signs or kind of the symbols, warning symbols even. No ignition sources eliminated, bottles chained upright and separate from other buildings. Empty and full bottles should be separate. It shouldn't be stored all together. Oxygen bottles not to be stored with LPG and return to store immediately after use. Now, how are we going to control the ignition sources like electrical equipment, hot work, smoking, cooking and heating appliances, mechanical heat or deliberate ignition? Now, flammable gas, vapor, dust mixed with air can be explosive. Electrical equipment can ignite the mixture. So, how the guidelines can help us, like national legislation controls use of electrical equipment. So we can bring ethics approved electrical equipment. That means not only fireproof, even explosion proof. And the things should be manufactured, especially the electrical equipment, as per EU or ethics directives. In UK, it's like kind of transposed as the dangerous substances and explosive atmospheres regulation 2002. I'll try to share that one also. No, this is the most important one, especially in our refineries and oil and gas, or in high hazardous industries. It's very much important to define these zone numbers, and each zone number have a particular meaning. Like if you put somewhere zone 0, that means it's an indicator this place is an explosive or having an explosive atmosphere, and continuously for longer period or frequently. So zone 0, wherever you're going to push or even display zone 0, that means explosive atmosphere is present continuously. Zone 1, a place which an explosive atmosphere is likely to occur in normal operations occasionally. And zone 2, a place in which an explosive atmosphere is not likely to occur in normal operations, but if it does occur, will persist for a short period only. Now, if you are doing risk assessment, zone wise, you have to be doing risk assessment in a more detailed or technical manner. If you are doing risk assessment of zone 0, that means more deeper analysis. Zone 1 and zone 2 accordingly. Now, there are corresponding standards also for dust explosion hazards. These are called like zone 20 and zone 21 and zone 22. So zone 0 is explosive atmosphere, and zone 1 is likely to occur, explosive atmosphere. Zone 2 is not likely to occur. That means even in normal operations, but it does occur, will persist for a short period only. So similarly, there are corresponding standards for dust explosion hazard. Those are called like zone 20 or zone 21 and zone 22. If you go to the refineries or oil and gas refineries or gas oil separation plants even, or any chemical industrial kind of high hazardous industries, you will find some zone numbers. The area is well defined. There is a possibility of, oh, this is explosive atmosphere, so be away from here. Nobody can go into that area without proper permissions. Now remember, use of electrical equipment for flammable atmosphere. If we want to use, there are basically 3 categories of electrical equipment. So category 1 electrical equipment you can use in zone 0. That means explosive environment likely to occur, and zone 20. In other words, category 2 is zone 1 or zone 20, and category 3 in zone 2 or zone 22. So the electrical equipment according to the atmosphere you need to decide. And remember, quality is expensive. If you're gonna buy category 1 electrical equipment for category 1, don't expect they'll be cheaper or they'll be less expensive. But yes, if you buy for category 2, little cost will be less, and same way for category 3. So remember, quality is high quality, of course, is expensive. Now, not only this one, even there must be some systems of work, like permit to work for control of hot work, means remove flammable materials from the area. Like if you are doing any hot work, that is why the fire watcher, he was gonna say, okay, please remove this chemical, remove unnecessary items, remove anything combustible, all unnecessary items shouldn't be into that area. And he'll try to barricade and make sure, nothing can go wrong because of flammable materials. Cover items that can't be removed and sweep the floor, damp down wooden floors and provide suitable fire extinguishers, ensure fire watcher present in the area, and check area after work has finished. And that's why the fire watcher stays like 30 minutes even after the hot work is done. The reason is still the surface is hot and he has to stay for 30 minutes to make sure nothing will go wrong. Good housekeeping is critical not only for the fire safety, even for everything. I mean, the more better, neat and clean environment you have, more better feelings you're gonna have. That is why people would love to work and they would never be like discouraged to come at work if good housekeeping is there and the space is waste free and tidy and well ordered, and even you have put some lines and you created a shop floor system especially for pedestrian route clears. It will give a lot of good feeling even to your customers, and your personal brand as a company will be more better in the market also, mashallah. Same like your company have storage of flammable liquids. There is always a flash point, like the lowest temperature at which a liquid can form an ignitable mixture in air. That means the vapor can be ignited by an external ignition source, but combustion is not sustained. So flash point is critical. When I'm buying any chemical or any sort of liquid, so I should check the flash point actually. And this flash point I can find maybe from TDS technical data sheet, maybe from SDS safety data sheet, or in other words the MSDS, or in Aramco maybe CHP, like chemical hazard bulletin. Now the lower the flash point, the easier it is to ignite the material. So there are classifications of all the liquids, like flammable, highly flammable, and extremely flammable. And it is labeled also on, if you buy any chemical, it is also the labeled with numbers. Like if you see 4 in red color, I repeat again, red presents flammability. If you see 4 in red color on a label, in a sign, flammability sign is there, then remember it's extremely flammable. If you see 3 there in the red color, that means highly flammable. And same way 2, 1, 0, and 0 means no flammability. It means this liquid have 0% or 0 flammability. So let's see the storage of flammable liquids. In category 3, flammable liquids, flash point is 23 degree to 60 degree. They can easily ignite it with a heat source, and maximum storage in the work area should be below 250 liters. Above than that means you are increasing the risk. If category 2, highly flammable liquids, flash point is below 23 degree and boiling point is above 35 degrees. So maximum storage below 50 liter. So higher the flash point or boiling point, less should be the liquid or the volume to be stored actually. Same way category 1, which is extremely flammable, even though the flash point is below 23, but boiling point is above 35. So very easy to ignite at room temperature even. So accordingly, we need to put some precautions in place here. Consider the store of flammable liquid like acetone or petrol. Discuss safe storage arrangements in such substances were used at work. I'm leaving this group exercise in the chat box. Consider the storage of flammable liquid like acetone or petrol, and what you have to discuss, the safe storage arrangements. How are you going to store them here? Okay, for easy understanding, safe storage methods or arrangements of acetone or petrol? What are the safest storage methods of acetone and petrol? Please, waiting for your answer in the chat box. Excellent, Mr. Muhammad Al Ghamdi. So, and even I would prefer, there must be, and surely you guys could have, the flammable materials storage, separate SOP, how to handle or chemical handling, maybe a procedure for chemical handling. And within that, you are talking about all the categories as per the flammability level also. Now, these are some of the things guided by NEBOSH, like storage of flammable liquids means use the minimum volume. That should be your first effort of a liquid required. Liquid should be in properly labeled container. Labeling is important here. Ideally, the container will be metal with a self-closing lid and use a metal tray to catch spills. That means second containment, and have absorbent material available. So away from the heat and ignition sources, like Mr. Muhammad Al Ghamdi mentioned, ensure the workplace is well ventilated and return containers to safe storage after use. If you have small quantities, use minimal quantities, store sealed lid on self-closing lid, flammable cabinet like fire-resistant metal, lockable, clearly signed, and also spill tray away from ignition sources. Large quantities is a purpose-built, single-story flammable store, segregated chemicals, and built of non-combustible materials like lightweight, roof for explosion relief, and even built. So it starts with the design actually, and accordingly, you will make your suitably fence in the source area, secure area, or all electrical systems. Make sure they are principally safe for all other ignition sources eliminated, store being well ventilated. Again, kind of design the construction. During the construction, you need to incorporate all the standards. And all access doors lockable. Adequate firefighting equipment must be there with safety signs. Regular checks for security, safe storage of substances, clear safe access for. So same general principles or kind of rules, for storage of flammable liquids, especially for larger quantities. Now, compartmentation, that means keeping fire or smoke in and out of the area of the building, creating enclosed and sealed boxes where fire resistant materials, this is a hot topic in Saudi Arabia because civil defense is highlighting, if your doors or walls, or if they don't have fire resistance at a particular level as per some international standards or as per NFPA codes, so they are considering it's kind of a violation, or as per even SASO regulations of quality standards of Saudi Arabia. So, and in Aramco, we can get help from FPD, Fire Protection Division. So fire is contained in one part of the building, one fully effective if opening in the compartment, walls are sealed. Local building regulations play a major part in applying high standards of compartmentation to workplace. What other characteristics of the fire door? Make sure it is able to withstand for a set time like 30 minutes, and more time means more cost again. I told you, quality is expensive. And yes, if it is your requirement, you have to fulfill, fitted with self-closing devices and fitted with intumescent strips like expanded when hot, fitted with cold smoke seal, and have vegan panel of fire resistant glass even, clearly labeled. So that means if you have that level of system, it would be really hard for the fire to spread because the doors can withstand like for 30 minutes. So 30 minute resistance is there. It is enough time, to And in the meantime, definitely the firefighting team will be responding. Properties of common building materials, concrete, steel, brick or timber. We must have some understanding, like usually perform well in a fire, severely affected by highly temperatures, or usually very resistant like brick. Timber means thin timber will burn quite quickly, and surface treatment can improve fire performance. That is why we have coating, we have several kind of encasing steel and concrete, or intumescent paint, or insulation, or wall coverings, So we try to inbuild fire prevention system from the design phase, instead of later on through the fire risk assessment we will be finding all these things. Same way we have insulation must be fire retardant, and also wall coverings can be flammable, so need to be carefully selected. Yes, there must be protection of openings and voids like service conducts or air handling ducts. We have to be careful. Voids like stair walls, voids between floors and roof voids, intentionally kept in the design phase. And protection, we need self-closing shutters, fire break walls, and procedure to seal any new openings like with fire retardant foams as well. 10.3 is all about fire alarm system and firefighting. We have simple system like shout, or simple with more noise, handbell or whistle, manually operated fire alarm, or interlinked smoke alarm like link normally occupied by rooms and interlink with smoke alarm. An automatic fire detection and alarm system, which is little expensive, but mostly in Saudi Arabia. No more battery operated, especially in Saudi Aramco. Even the residential compounds, battery operated heat or smoke detectors are not acceptable. Now they are, already standardized that you guys have to implement addressable system, instead of just battery operated. Look at the smoke detectors and heat detectors, but they must be capable to detect the fire or the heat. And it's two ways, like could be ionizing or optical. And same way for heat detectors, they must detect, whenever the heat is generated, especially by a fire. Even though it's less sensitive, but later warning, two main types, rate of rise and fixed temperature. So many of detect fire that are giving off smoke, but not much heat. So be careful, where you're going to place heat detectors, where you have to put smoke detectors. Normally the heat detectors we use in the kitchen also. Now portable firefighting equipments like fire extinguisher, fire blanket, hose reel, sprinkler system. Mashallah, you guys understand. So this is, an important kind of extinguishing media for water, foam, carbon dioxide powder, and wet chemical. And for what class of fire you can use, you can easily understand, like for fire type A or class A, water, foam and powder can be used. For B, we can only use foam but not water and carbon dioxide and powder. And for C and D, we can only use powder. And for F, only wet chemical. And for electrical, only carbon dioxide or powder. But water and foam are not recommended. And we can just take, such kind of things and display on our notice board. So let our employees be fully familiar, and sometimes I'm encouraging to the company, you have firefighting team, it's good, but at least give training to all employees how to use fire extinguisher and get a certificate, maybe internal. You can create an ID if it is accepted to your customer or even to the legal authorities. Otherwise, go with third party, so they will give proper training how to use fire extinguisher, even though they are not part of firefighting team, but at least whenever they see fire and they are using the fire extinguisher, it shouldn't be fired back to them, oh, why you use fire extinguisher, you're not trained for, you're not authorized for. So just to fulfill that condition, much better to train every individual, because you never know who will see the fire first. Now, siting, maintenance, and training, we need on fire exit routes, close to the exit door, close to specified hazards, fixed to the wall, and clearly visible, signed, and unobstructed access. There must be inspection and regular maintenance, could be once a year, or maybe, ensure they remain in the safe working order, but make sure you have certificated engineer. But mostly that area we are covering through third party inspection companies or maintenance companies for fire safety system, because they are the one going to inspect, test, and also giving us a report that the fire safety system or the fighting system is well active and have no issues. We can give some theory training, type of extinguisher, hands-on experience, and record kept in the line with local regulations. So again, it's not like only the theoretical training. There must be some practical, like how to use, what is the past process like, pull the pin, or aim at the fire, okay, and then squeeze. That means you have to press the handle and ultimately sweep. So this pass must be remembered by every employee, and they can follow these 4 steps along with the wind speed by considering wind speed and the distance from the fire. Now, access for fire and rescue services, it should be more easier, like requirements for the vehicle access differ depending on, like I shared one practical example of today, what happened exactly, the drainage system was a big hurdle because the fire truck was stuck inside, So presence of fire mains or size of the building, that is why all constructions must be in line with the civil defense, Baladia regulations. And if you are building your company in Madon area, like, industrial demand 1 or industrial demand 2, or because as per the 2030 VN, almost all cities of Saudi Arabia are going to have at least one industrial zone for local manufacturing, increasing export and decreasing what? Import, to create a non-oil based economy. And that is why you guys are investing a lot of money on tourism also. That is another. And most importantly, the highest budget, for the last 2 years, you are giving to the education also. And that's pretty fine, inshallah. Because since you are the one going to manage your country in future, inshallah. For small buildings without a fire main access for a pump, appliances should be provided to 15% of the perimeter. Now, for large high-rise buildings, the entire perimeter will need to be accessible. Site should have an emergency plan, including line with fire service, and filtration visit may be carried out for better understanding. Same way we provide, this fire emergency response plan and HIP, hazard identification plan. Even we submit before, like 20 or 25 days before to Saudi Aramco, just for better understanding. So they can evaluate our ERP plan as well as HIP. Now, how are we going to evacuate? First of all, look at the picture, look at the diagram. So instead of using maximum words, much better to use pictorial base, because everybody can understand. A symbol is more better than a lot of words. But make sure it is available to every person in the workplace and does not require use of lifts. Must take person to a place of safety, and 2 or more separate routes may be required. Travel distance should be short. Adequate ways and clearly signed, appropriately lit, and emergency lighting, no obstructions. In the escape routes, there shouldn't be any obstruction. Quite simple things, and you guys are much better, mashallah, knowledgeable, but still NEBOSH is highlighting, simple steps, and make sure you are just refreshing your knowledge and getting more vocabulary also. NEBOSH vocabulary, I would say. Now, depends on number of people occupying a room and travel distance to nearest available. That's also depends the travel distance. But make sure the final exit to a place of total safety and story exit and separate fire compartment containing final exit and fire risk number of alternative escape routes available. And it should also be showed, well insured at your fire evacuation map. And even, at the fire evacuation map, the location of your exit doors definitely going to be there. But you can also highlight the location of your fire extinguishers, the location of your fire, or this first aid boxes, location of your muster points, of course, going to be there. And most importantly, the location of one of the element, like kind of your emergency room. Mostly companies now have internal emergency, so that should also be highlighted on the evacuation map. It will help people to understand and getting more easy practice, while even though you have fire evacuation drills and you can calculate how they are reacting. Yes, stairs and passageways, fire resistant protection like adequate width, consider wheelchair users, unobstructed, no storage of material or equipment. That means no blockage. And should be non-slippery as well. No doors, easy to operate. That means should be open from inside to outside, easy to operate, adequate width, open in direction of travel and not locked as well. Emergency escape, lighting must be there so everybody can have an indication, because once the fire incident or fire broke out, God forbid, first thing is no electricity or no light, so at least this battery operated, the kind of lighting system must be there for 60 to 90 minutes. So everybody can go out, and also the directions also required to the fire wardens, because they are the one supporting this fire evacuation. And they're going to make sure no one is left behind. And of course, it requires regular maintenance and inspection and testing as well. No exit and directional signs. We required standard shape, standard color, pictogram, easy to interpret, easily, clearly visible, and must be displayed as per the eye contact. Sometimes we put so high and sometimes we put so down. No, down is not there, but at least sometimes I notice too high. So it should be as per maybe 6 feet or 7 feet would be much better. Or if you believe the people have to see from 100 meter away, then maybe few you can put at little more high, so they can it should be visible actually from all 4 directions. Assembly points, yes, must be there, but make sure it is in the safe location and also clearly signed, and the firefighters must be fully familiar how to, must not impede firefighters, of course. So under your tutor's direction, take a tour of an area of your building. You are in fire compartment, stair walls. So please, you can have a look now more deeper how your fire prevention system is inbuilt within your buildings, even your office buildings, how it is inbuilt, how the fire compartment or stair valves or doors, or the distances or the fire detection and alarm system or extinguishers or emergency lighting and signage. Just have a tour and see with more deeper eyes, inshallah. Because there must be emergency evacuation procedure, and that should also be tested through sound the alarm and get out of the building, stay out of the building. And yes, more complex procedures needed for some workplaces like hospitals. Fire marshals have typical duties like check all areas are evacuated, assist disabled or infirm worker, ensure fire escape routes are kept clear. So you have firefighting procedure or fire safety management procedure. So within that procedure, all the responsibilities or kind of steps to be followed, or anything related to fire safety, you can highlight into that procedure, and I'm sure you have it. Conduct roll call at assembly point, like a head count, just to make sure all persons are accounted there, and may not be practical, especially in supermarkets. Provide for the infirm or disabled, to make sure the staff with disabilities may need personal evacuation plans so they can assist travel through the downstairs and alert those with hearing impairment as well. So special focus and special intention need to be given to infirm or disabled persons for their better evacuation. Now, building plans and emergency escape, there must be fire plan, and in the fire plan, you have to make sure all the premises are covered and action to be taken on discovering fire, escape routes, and firefighting equipment must be readily available. and actions to be taken after evacuation, and make sure that training is given. Information on fire safety procedure, training and information, all contractors, not only contractors or employees or visitors, even your customers, any interested party, whoever is coming at your site, make sure you are giving them some induction kind of a training. So training for staff who use portable extinguishers, fire marshal, assist disabled or infirm people or members of the fire team. Quite simple steps we already are following. There must be fire drills just to test your procedure, just to practice, and see how your staff is reacting, and keep the record, and later on you can announce, is it a successful fire drill or still need more improvement? That's we discuss, the general principles of escape, and also the purpose of emergency lighting, and how what the fire marshals do actually in evacuations. That was the whole summary of this fire, and I hope it would have given you some idea how NEBOSH is accepting, how deeper you have to get some knowledge about fire prevention, fire protection, as well as firefighting system. And if you want to be a fire specialist, or you just want to be specialized in fire safety, then I'm recommending maybe you can go for some NFPA courses, NFPA USA accredited, some courses just for, if you want, I can share the details, but you just need to find the right institute, in Saudi Arabia. And it's up to your interest, because some people, they love to be fire expert, the fire safety expert. So mostly after NEBOSH, they will prefer NFPA USA accredited qualifications. And some people, they're gonna say, oh, I want to be the fire safety trainer. So they will go to IADC USA accredited, like train the trainers only for firefighting. So it's up to your interest how you want to formulate and improve further to your career, Marshall. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your great patience and attending this session of the day. And tomorrow, inshallah, we'll start the last element, electricity. And that would be the day 10. Not day 10. It should be day 9, actually. So ultimately we will have, because yes, tomorrow we will finish electricity, and then inshallah on the last day only exam preparation. And I hope you will be fully prepared, inshallah. And later on, up to 1st December, I'll be still in communication, through WhatsApp group. So just to make sure that to keep your knowledge fresh, inshallah. Okay. And I really wish that everybody should achieve maximum marks, inshallah, because you have practical understanding. So you deserve more marks. Remember that. Okay, guys. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you very much.